and a voice called back.
A couple of my friends and I were bored, so we decided to go check out one of the caves in our area. It's a cave formed from lava, so it's not like a huge hole in the side of a hill you see in movies. It's just a small hole in the desert that leads down into a relatively small cave. We often made trips to this desert hole by way of Sand Rider. Well, we call them Sand Riders, but they were just cars. But for some reason, the evening that my friends and I decided to go quickly turned off. The cave entrance had been boarded up and covered in some random graffiti, but the cave was a long way from home, and we didn't want to call it quits there. My friend got his crowbar out of the car and peeled the boards off the cave entrance, as thick, cold, dusty air poured out of the cave. I had been in this cave before when I was much younger, and even though things seemed to be smaller than when you are older, the cave seemed to have grown in size since I last remembered it, like significantly grown. My last visit, you could barely fit a car, maybe a caboose, into the cave, whereas now, heck, you could host a whole gosh dang sporting event in this sucker. But where was all the gosh dang sand? My friends and I started rummaging through our Sand Riders to find a flashlight to see what was going on. We realized that only James, a longtime friend of 13, had brought one, because the rest of us thought that it would be a short trip. We quickly started regretting that, as James clicked on his flashlight and showed it around the space. The place was now huge. My last visit, you could barely fit a car, maybe a caboose, into the cave, whereas now, heck, you could host a whole gosh dang sporting event in this sucker.
Where was all that gosh dang sand?
James yelled. The tone in his voice made my skin jump out of me. When it hit the ground, we all stopped, and it felt like our hearts had followed suit. The thing had an eerie air to it, like it almost was trying to intimidate us. But we all remained perfectly calm. James began whispering to me.
Do you think this thing is hostile?
I shook my head in response, but James has dyslexia, so instead of reading my head is shaking sideways, he tragically got mixed up and thought I nodded my head up and down as if to say, yes, I think this thing is hostile. So without a second thought, he migrated to Wisconsin, and all we could do was watch. That's when the thing turned to us. I scrambled, and all I could hear were the loose and tumble footsteps of my friends doing the same behind me. We all knew what we had seen, and it was time to get back to the Sand Riders. And it took us 12 minutes and 36 seconds to make it back to the sand tunnel entrance. That's when our luck turned dank. Our hearts sank as James called out,
My flashlight is out.
This was the worst possible time for that to happen, especially since things started to feel a bit off. But luckily, I remembered the day before to pack 2.5 drained batteries. Thinking on my feet because I was standing, I fished the batteries out of my fanny pack and belted them onto my flashlight. This took only a few seconds, but I could have sworn in the darkness I heard the words,
Fix my flashlight!
Screamed from one of my friends. But when the life-saving beam of light reappeared, everyone became okay.
You guys ready to get out of here?
I said with a nervous laugh. They agreed, and we began making our way back to the cave entrance. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. After climbing the ladder and going home safely, we never forgot that day, and it is without a doubt the creepiest experience of my life. Stay safe out there, you guys.